Welcome, everybody, to another edition of Deconversion Stories, kinda, like it says in the title, because today we're talking about taking on a different belief system, not so much atheism, but more of a polytheistic belief system, like our friend Ocean, that you guys know well. And today I'm chatting with Calon.
Hi.
And Calon has a little bit of an added fight, I guess you might say, because you are a trans person, correct, Calon?
That I am. Yep.
And so you got to deal with the bullshit from people who don't understand that. Also, the people that don't understand your belief system either. So why don't you kind of take us on the journey of how you ended up where you are, and I'll just pop in with ridiculous questions and stuff like that as we go on.
Sounds good to me. So when it comes to like being trans and whatnot, I didn't actually realize I was trans until like earlier this year.
Really?
Yeah. I had always
How did you feel before that, though?
Like I always just sort of attributed various things to like other phenomena like depression or something else. It just didn't really cross my mind until it got like pretty bad.
Okay. Bad meaning like it kept bringing you down kind of thing?
Yeah. It kept bringing me down. I started looking at my body more and just like, no, I don't like this. Get me out of it and that kind of stuff. As for being a pagan and like spiritually, I've always been like I did have that stage that most pagans do where they go like with what we call fluff bunnies. So these are like your edgy, like sometimes edgy, like Wiccans that are in the cafeteria talking about silver $sign Ravenwolf. The $sign, by the way, refers to replacing the S with a $sign because silver Ravenwolf is really despised in Wicca.
Right.
Because hers doesn't come really from any tradition and it's just meant to sell books and whatnot.
Oh, okay. I didn't realize that.
At least, yeah, that's what I've come to believe about her. Yeah, she writes a lot of popular Wicca books.
Yes, actually, I think I have a couple of them.
Yeah, most people seem to. But yeah, no, I had that stage and a lot of jewelry, a lot of, I guess you could say, pointless charms.
Well,
and whatnot. But, well, I mean, they weren't pointless. They weren't like necessarily.
I kind of lost you. If you can still hear me.
For like fluff bunny stuff, like wooish. Between like, so Ocean actually went over the definition for like superstition and whatnot. Superstition is for spirituality and begins to harm the person themselves and hinder their functioning. And I was very much like a bit of a superstitious person. Hard to believe, I know, but
I think we've all been in that position before, holding on to superstitions and stuff.
Yeah, and you could argue that there's superstitions that are from theism.
Oh, sure. You keep fading in and out, just so you know. Like right now, I can't hear you.
Am I there?
Now you are, yes.
Oh, okay. Did what I say come through?
No.
Okay, so I said basically you could classify like there's superstition that's also separate from religion, like when an atheist for whatever reason goes against gay marriage or something of that nature.
Sure.
But
I find in cases like that, a lot of that is like a hangover from their previous belief system.
Yeah, what we call latent credulity. They try to rationalize that.
Yes. You're fading out pretty bad, actually.
And it's just like, no, you're just still in the Christian mindset. I see it a lot of people who have just recently come out of Christianity. Like, I almost wonder at times if there's like a way you can predict how long ago someone used to be a Christian by like their thought processes.
Yeah, that's true. It's true. But you know what? That being said, a lot of times those beliefs do eventually fade. I've seen many cases where that has been the case, and you have faded away on me. I can't hear you again.
That are sort of put on us by like society, those tend to be the more like stickler ones.
Yeah,
Since
definitely. You keep fading in and out, by the way. So
I think been what changed. Thank you. The dreamer, and he
hang on,
basically said, "You're being
Calon,
sorry."
you're fading in and out really badly. Is there another area you can walk to or something where the
Should
signal might be better? Yes, Nerdy. It seems to be a mobile signal. She's at school right now, so.
Let me try. I'll try walking back.
Okay.
Basically, the guy Anki came to me and like you're being. Yeah.
You're gonna have to repeat that. Yeah.
Is it?
Now you're coming good.
All right.
Yeah.
Cool.
So you might have to repeat what you were saying before.
I said it basically Inky. Yeah.
Inky.
Basic. Inky came to me in a dream and said, "You're being an idiot," and he subtly drove me to read a lot of Sumerian stuff. And I found that a lot of that fit me like a glove.
Mm-hmm. I was big into that myself. I was big into the Sumerian stuff myself for a long time.
Yeah, in fact, a lot of Wicca's plagiarized Sumerian, funny enough.
Oh, yep.
Like Inanna's descent into the underworld.
Yep.
And all these other things, which in Wicca they say it's part of the like old like witchcraft going back to Gardner.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of it is just derivative of Sumerian stuff.
Yep.
And so, yeah, the more I began investigating that, the more I expanded my practice. And, well, like a few months ago, I had contact with Olden.
Oh, okay.
And through that, he also subtly pushed me towards more heathenry, which Olden is a very haunting god.
How so?
Just his like presence.
Okay.
I guess I would describe as haunting. And it's also kind of like a passion that like when he like bestows like passion into you or something of that nature where it's hard to describe. It's called Older in Old Norse.
Mm-hmm.
But basically you get a ton done and it's like a laser focus onto one sort of thing. At least it was for me.
Right. Okay.
And here I am today.
Here you are today. So what do you have any we'll say like rituals that you do on a constant basis, or like a daily thing or a weekly thing, or
offering black beer to Inanna is one thing I do, as well as barley and wheat as per like
black beer. You know, you can set another one aside for me if you want.
I actually get that more commonly than a lot of people think.
But doesn't surprise me.
Yeah. But black beer, sometimes once a week, and also wheat and barley were the things that I've so far have read that were offered in Sumer. I also have what are called hordgar,
yeah,
which are basically a pile of stones, and I make libations on those stones of like, well, right now it's apple juice to Olden. or
Okay.
to a bunch of actually Norse gods: Odin, Freya, English Freya,
Yes.
and Thor.
Very cool. I liked him in the Avengers.
They're a lot more severe in. Speaking from a theistic viewpoint, they're a lot more. They're a lot different in real life, and in the sagas, they're also extremely different. Like let's put it this way: when I heard like there's a scene in the Avengers where Odin gets mad at Thor for like starting war on this planet.
Mm-hmm.
If this were in the Norse sagas, Odin would be patting Thor on the back, saying "Good job."
Right? Yeah. I've been reading Marvel comics since I was a kid, really, and Thor was one of the ones I read a long time ago. And yeah, Odin in the comic books is a lot, we'll say, friendlier than in the mythology itself. So
He's a lot more, I guess, like. I mean, he's a lot like, I guess, chiller.
Yeah.
In a lot of ways. Like in the mythos, he generally just doesn't give a damn. Like
That's right.
He's a trickster god. Like there's this one scene in the saga, I forget which saga it is, but there are these thralls. A thrall is a slave, for those who don't know.
Yes.
There are these thralls working in this field, and so Odin comes up and he holds up a grindstone. And he says, "This grindstone is the best grindstone ever. It will make your blade the sharpest." And so he sharpens all their weapons, and the trawler look around and they're like, "Oh, this is like amazing. How much will you take for this the stone?" And so what Odin does, seeing this, is he just throws it into the air and lets the thralls fight over it and kill each other.
Yeah, that's right. That's a good one. And there's like a lesson there on I think bloodlust or greed or something to come from that.
I think that, yeah, possibly. I mean, the thralls were pretty like stupid in fighting over the stone.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, perfection came, and then they asked for it again, and perfection has a cost. I guess is one lesson you can conclude there.
Yep, it does for sure.
And some people are willing to die for it, even kill themselves for it.
Yeah, which is kind of crazy, but yeah. How do you? I always thought that was kind of weird, because how do you end up with perfection if you're not there to use it or see it? I mean, by killing yourself to attain it, right?
Right, unless of course you're, I guess, like a sacrifice, and then it's like it's a result of someone else's failure. So
yeah,
it's an interesting. It's a very interesting theme to analyze within the literature.
Yes.
In fact, sacrifice is one of the more consistent themes. Like, for example, the way the universe was created was the death of Ymir, the giant,
mm-hmm.
who was killed by Odin. You could say he's like the first Odinic. He's not even really a sacrifice, because he's a Jotun, and Jotuns are entities.
Yes. There's many of them, actually. Oh, I think I lost you again. Oh, no, there you are. Oh, nope, and you're gone.
Hello?
You're, yeah, I can hear you.
All right, cool. Hopefully the chat can hear me. So,
yes,
yeah, the actual Odinic sacrifice comes with the death of Baldur, which Baldur is the Shining One.
Mm-hmm. He's also like the big one in the comics. He's like the big dude. I have lost you again, Calon, if you can hear me. It appears that Calon's are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, good. Yeah, it appears that your data plan just keeps cutting in and out for some reason.
Probably because it's switching from Wi-Fi, because I'm now in the car.
Oh, and now you're on the Wi-Fi that comes with the vehicle? or not. Yeah, okay, now I can
Hello?
hear you. Yeah, I can hear you.
Are you there?
Yep, I'm here.
All right, cool. So
All right.
yeah, the sagas are filled with it's interesting themes. It's actually, when you first read them, it's a bit of a culture shock just because of how brutal the culture was.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Well, we got to admit, I mean, back then, almost every culture had its brutality.
that's true. That is very true. And most people probably didn't live a long time either, and that's shown in the sagas.
Yeah.
It's also very different standard for morality in
Yep.
terms of what you did, like for the Vikings, what they would go out and establish what referred to as orlog. So, like for their villages, they would bring back various loot and use that to enrich their families and whatnot.
After they went pillaging.
Yeah, after they pillaged other people's families, but that
Yeah.
Those people were Untingarth. They were outer yard, so they didn't matter.
That's right.
They, in fact, as far as they were concerned, they weren't even human. That was one of the interesting things that I read in the Viking spirit, is that we tend to call murderers and whatnot beasts. The Vikings reversed that. They called themselves beasts, and they saw the others as prey.
That's very true. And prey were always up for grabs, including everything that they had as well.
Oh yeah, and they in one of the more weird episodes in the saga, they actually make a distinction between raiding and stealing. Raiding's okay, stealing is not okay.
Right, especially if it's within your community as well.
Well, yeah, but I think it was in Egil's saga, where Egil, he gets captured by this English farmer, but he manages to escape with some loot. But the others, they were like, well, you got this loot by stealing. He felt bad that he got this loot by stealing, so what he did was he went back to the farmer's house, set it on fire, and wait for the farmer to come out so he could kill him. Because that was considered honorable.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah, they're the funny system for what they considered honorable. But, it kind of reminds me a little bit of Klingon mythos, too, because it's honorable to die in battle, that kind of thing, which was the same with the Vikings.
Yeah, for the Vikings, I wonder how similar the Klingons are. Like with the Vikings, you had this whole sort of so you have the Orlok and the Weird, which are two concept. Basically, they believe that there's a day that you're going to die. That the day of death is predetermined from birth. And so that's why, for example, if someone challenged you to a duel, well, the thinking is that you go to the duel, because if you go to the duel and die, well, nothing was going to save you that day.
That's right. Yeah.
A tree would have fallen on you or something of that nature. If you go to the duel and win, then clearly you were destined to win, and you just ran. If you flee and you just ran from an honorable challenge. Why would you run? It makes no sense to them.
Well, sure. I mean, if there's a predetermined time, they're going to, or they believe that there's a predetermined time that they're going to end up going to Valhalla or dead or whatever, right? Then they would have nothing to fear. If it was nowhere near the day they were predetermined to die, then they would gladly run into battle.
Exactly. Yeah.
With no fear.
Yeah, no fear. And if you die, if you die a warrior's death, well, that's tradition. I personally think that it's a little bit more loose than that. There's episodes in the sagas where people who don't die in battle end up going to Valhalla because they were warriors, particularly in the saga, the Volsung saga, which is probably a great saga you would want to read if you want to get to know Odin.
I've read quite a few, well, back in the day anyways, quite a few sagas. I'm not familiar with that one, actually, though.
Yeah, it's
it rings a bell, but I can't remember if I read it or not.
it's about the Volsung family, Sigurd the Dragon Slayer.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
I actually felt sorry for Fafnir.
No, did you?
Yeah, it's like the poor dragon. He wasn't doing anything really. He was just there, and he had gold, and Sigurd needed the gold, as well as the dragon's blood.
I almost actually took the name for an online name of Fafnir at one time.
That would be an epic one.
Yeah, I was
just
going
don't
to
end up like Fafnir.
yeah, exactly. I ended up with it because he's one of the 4 elemental dragons. Or no, actually, it's a she. That one, I think, isn't it? Or is it a he?
Fafnir is a he, because there's also that whole tale of the cursed ring.
Right.
Which is where Tolkien probably got his Lord of the Rings from. Is from that little episode of.
I think he states that.
Yeah.
And I think they go over a little bit of that in the movie too on his story.
Oh, they did.
Because he was I think so. I haven't seen the whole thing yet.
Of Ultar?
Or just that he gets a lot of his ideas from the Norse mythologies.
Oh yeah, that he does. Like Gandalf is in Norse mythology. He's a dwarf.
Well, there you go.
And yeah, his name is literally like within the Voluspa, which are the sayings of the prophetess of the Vurdva that Odin brings back because he wants to know.
Yeah, and we all know how he's very good at satiating his curiosity.
Very.
I ended up using the name Cyrus or whatever, the dragon of the element air, because
cool.
back in the day I was a Libra. Well, I'm still technically a Libra.
I was about to say,
it's an air sign.
Came back again?
Yeah, no, I'm a Capricorn. No, I'm just kidding. It was
now I'm an Aries.
Yeah, actually, that's my counter sign apparently, but and most of my friends are Aries, which is really weird. But anyways, not that I buy any of that, but I used to. But anyway,
no, just admit you totally buy all of that. Atheists are now irrational.
Yeah,
astrology is true.
I'm going back to paganism, folks.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I was there for a long time. I've talked about this with Ocean as well, and that's one of the reasons we kind of got off because we could talk about this stuff and know exactly what we're talking about.
Yeah, so, and that's the nice thing about being in a pagan community.
Sure. And it's like him and I had discussed as well. I think pagan/polytheists and atheists really have more common ground than the other theists.
Yeah, because atheists are treated just like a minority religion.
Yeah, it's true.
Basically,
sociologically
speaking.
Yeah, but also, and I'm sure you agree, we're both more humanistic than the others. Like we value that a lot more than they would.
I would say yes for like true polytheists. Like this is excluding folkists. Folkists I don't consider folkists to even be real pagans.
Oh, really?
No, they
somewhere there's one crying right now.
Oh, I'm sure. And if they're not crying, well,
let's phone them and make them cry.
Exactly. But
no, I'm not about making people cry. That's just mean.
I mean, they're Nazis, basically.
Yeah, I would agree. Sure.
So they deserve a cry.
Yeah, or at least trip them when they're in the shopping mall or something.
Whoops.
Watch all their gifts go flying.
Oh, that would be fantastic.
I accidentally did that to as a little kid back when I worked in the mall. I was running for my lunch break, and this kid came running the other way towards the arcade, and he had a few boxes in his hand. And as I was running, I kind of dropped something, and I went to pick it up, and I literally shoulder checked the poor guy, and he went flying. And I felt so bad.
Poor kid.
Yeah.
Now, if that were a Nazi, that would be funny.
Yeah, it was just some kid. I think he was about 12 or 13 or something. So
gotcha.
It was an accident, and he falls down, and he looks up, and he sees me, and I swear he was going to start crying, but he kind of sucked it up, and
so just pulls your heartstrings.
I know. He's like, I'm okay, don't worry about it. I got to get going. And I'm like, all right, you sure? You don't need help? He's like, yeah. And he just took off to the arcade. So had to go play that Tetris.
Tetris is not a bad game. actually. Wish I had come up with the concept.
Yeah, right. I mean, I spent hours playing that game. I wasted so much. I could have bought 3 cars of the amount of money that I plugged into those machines.
Wow.
It was like my go-to. Well, not really, but I like to exaggerate sometimes. But I put a lot of cash in that and Street Fighter. And if we go back
probably
further,
could have bought a machine with the money you put in.
Yeah, and actually, there's a few listed in our Craigslist locally, and one of them is Galaga, which was another game. So
this is how your channel dies. You buy one of those.
See, I don't really need to because they have emulators online, so I could just sit here and do it, right?
Yeah, but there's still not that classic like arcadey feeling to it.
That's right, which would be so cool. But where the fuck do I have barely enough room in this room as it is. I don't know where I would put a stand-up video game.
Oh, I'm pretty sure you could find a place.
If I could find a sit-down one.
Magically appear. Yeah.
I remember the old sit-down tabletop ones where you used to be able to play against somebody, right? And that would be cool. If I could find one of those, I know exactly where I'd put that sucker, but I haven't seen any of those for sale anywhere. But
that's weird.
Yeah. I'd love to get Dragonlance too. And I was just reminded about that the other day when I started watching the season 3 of Stranger Things.
Yeah. I remember hearing about Dragonlance vaguely.
Mm-hmm. It was the
I
first
need to look into it.
Technically the first animated video game with actual cartoons. And then you follow the cartoon along, and then you'll see like a flash or something. You got to go this way or that way, and you got to duck or move or climb or whatever, right? It was pretty fun.
It was a revolution in video games.
It definitely was, for sure. Took them to the next level, so to speak. That was supposed to be a video game.
I get
joke.
it, yeah.
Oh, thank you for being gracious there.
I am very gracious.
So is this like you were saying you're at school? Are you just going back now, or is there like the end of like a summer season sort of thing?
The semester just started, and I'm actually taking a religion class, which is interesting.
Really?
You're looking at near Eastern religions.
Oh,
which the only one I'm remotely familiar with is a little bit of Shintoism.
Okay, sure.
Which is actually quite similar to a lot of my own views in terms of like animism and whatnot.
Right.
Which is actually also what the Norse originally had, was an animistic view. They certainly had the totems for it. But no, we'll be looking at Hinduism and Taoism and all those. It'll be fun.
Are they going to tackle like Jainism too?
Yeah, Jainism, moksha. Yeah. And like also there's this idea of transtheism.
Okay.
Which would be great to see like a transtheist come into the community and just be like, no, atheism, theism, it doesn't matter. I've transcended both those categories.
Yeah, I wonder how that kind of came along.
It's basically the idea that the gods exist, but they're irrelevant.
Right.
They're irrelevant and subjugated to one sort of divine principle, which in Jainism is called like moksha.
Okay. Yeah.
And so what you're trying to do.
Do you have a cricket in there with you?
No.
Because I hear like a chirping.
It's probably actually the car.
Oh. Your
the
car
turn
chirps?
Signal. Yeah, the turn signal.
Oh, cool.
But with moksha, and the idea is that via various like meditative practice and whatnot and philosophical ideas, you can achieve this sort of enlightened state that is beyond the gods.
Interesting.
So, transtheism.
To be honest, I've only just recently heard that expression. Like within the last 6 months, I would say.
I did as well, actually. I was surprised. I was like, huh? What is this? I have to see this.
Because, you think about it, it just seems like bizarre to me. Like, because like a transtheist, at least I would think, you would still classify as an atheist because they don't carry beliefs. So, or maybe their beliefs have evolved past not carrying beliefs.
Well, the idea is that they're both in a way, because they kind of view the gods as existing, but they're irrelevant. And which is kind of like how do you guys work this?
Yeah, I'd be asking the same thing.
It's like, so gods exist, and I guess this is where I'll be studying Jainism a little bit. The gods exist, but they're irrelevant. What's really there, because they're subjugated to the divine principle of like moksha or something of that nature.
Okay.
And so basically,
irrelevant.
Yeah.
Like, oh wow.
So yeah, basically what you end up with is something that moves beyond both atheism and theism, and that's their shtick. And it's like, okay, I guess that is a third position, sort of.
Yeah. It's like a bizarre form of deism that finds the god or gods irrelevant. It's like weird.
It is. And it's very mystical. Like I could see maybe a few traditions that could potentially be transtheistic, like maybe Gnostic Christianity could. The idea that you could become one via the Christ with the transcendental god of Barbelo and whatnot. Which I guess we can also talk about Christianity, because we have common issues with them.
Yes, we do. I arose or left behind Judaism. However, I was born to Christians, put up for adoption, and raised as a Jew.
Actually, Judaism to paganism is not. Judaism is surprisingly compatible with a lot of paganism.
Because they were once polytheistic.
Yeah, they were, because they were descended from Canaanites.
That's right. And there were not just Yahweh; there were other gods as well.
Yeah,
like
Yahweh, Asherah, Baal, Hadad.
Yeah, even El. That's where they come up with words like Elohim. Or,
the Elohim.
Yes, actually, very good pronunciation. I speak Hebrew, so that was pretty good, actually. I was using the more anglicized version myself there, but
English is dirt. No,
it is. It's mud language. It's a mix of all different languages: Germanic, French, Latin,
all these other sort of things. Yeah, I speak German myself.
Do you?
A lot.
Excellent.
Yeah, that's my other major. I'm also in a German class.
Right on.
So, but the Elohim. Yep, the Elohim, Baal Hadad. It's really hard to get that ayin sound in there.
Ayin?
It really is. Or no, did Hebrew have that?
Yeah.
Just the glottal stop.
Ayin is a letter.
Oh, okay. Yeah, sorry. My Hebrew knowledge is it's basically transferred Arabic knowledge.
They're very similar languages. I think Arabic spawned off of ancient Hebrew. So there you go. Well, if you ever need help in that category, just send me a DM. Hey, I need to know something, and if it's something within my knowledge base, I can help you out for sure.
Definitely. Yeah. And also, Chris, he's also really good with, especially since he's a Canaanite polytheist, which is interesting. I wonder how that's going to go over with the other Jews. I tend to find that Jews, they tend to be, they're like, yeah, okay, I can see that.
Sure.
Whereas the Christians, they try to relabel them as, oh, these are just demons.
Yeah, and same with Muslims. They do the same. Anything
except for the jinn, because the jinn, they're totally a separate entity. They're totally not demons. No,
they're their own species.
Yeah, apparently. I don't know quite what in Islamic mysticism separates a jinn from a demon. Because in like ancient Sumer, you had demons. So yes, technically I do believe in demons.
All right.
Like Pazuzu.
Yeah, I'm familiar with that one.
Yeah, most people are from The Exorcist.
Oh, yeah, of course. I didn't even think of that. I was thinking of other references that I read about, right?
Yeah, no.
I like what my friend No Sacred Cow says. English is known as the bastard language. One mother, many fathers.
Exactly. One member, many other. Yep, because we have the French. We have so many. We should all just be speaking Old Norse. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, better yet, Proto-Germanic.
Proto-Germanic. We're going way back.
We're going like back to the time of Rome.
Mistress Angelica's like, it's all fucking confusing. Well, if you're not familiar with a lot of the polytheistic systems or pagan systems, then yes, it can sound very confusing. But I spent quite a long time dealing with that sort of stuff, so I learned quite a bit. But Calon, I'll tell you, you're sure. I think your knowledge exceeds mine, and so
thanks.
It definitely, because I mean, I guess you could say I was never really like super serious, but interested enough to want to know a bunch of stuff.
Kind of dabbling in a bit in
here and there, even different systems, like different belief systems. Right?
Different belief systems. Yeah. Not quite like a chaos magician.
No, even though I've been called one, which is kind of funny.
Yeah, which I know chaos magic. I'm so tempted when someone responds, "Well, believe." Like just as almost kind of like I know it would be bad for me to do this, but as like a troll, when someone says, "Well, you can't choose your beliefs," just to play the chaos magician and say, "What are you talking about? I choose my beliefs all the time."
Yeah. I've often said that myself, that you don't really choose your beliefs, and technically you don't. You're just convinced of something, so you go, "I'll adopt that," because you're convinced of it.
Exactly. But throw in the chaos magician where they use belief as a tool, and you get all sorts of screwy stuff. That's fun. I'm careful. Chaos magic, I kind of have a mixed view of it. I get its point in terms of like when it comes to magical systems, but a lot of it seems to me to be appropriation. If that makes sense.
Yeah. No, I can see that for sure.
And for those who don't know, the idea behind like chaos magic is that you're just doing whatever works. So you call upon the entities. It doesn't matter what the entities are. You can mix angels and I was about to say demons, but Christians already do that. Angels and jinn, for example. And if that works, then it's fine. The representation is symbolic.
That's right.
Whatnot. And it's also an atheistic. There's an atheistic version of it.
Of chaos magic?
Yeah.
Really?
The idea.
See, this would be new to me.
The idea is that it helps program like your subconscious to do certain things, and that's what it's done by implicit association. Like I associate this symbol with doing this task well, so when I see this symbol imprints onto my head that sort of focus that it's time to do this particular task.
Wouldn't meditation achieve that as well?
Potentially, yes, but not quite in the same way because it's not a constant association. It's not as specific as like a symbol or a glyph. Oh, I forget what they call them because I'm not a chaos magician. I'm sure we're really confusing the chat right now.
my friend No Sacred Cows goes, "Oh, are we visiting Planet Wu today?"
Not quite, no.
Well, No Sacred Cows, I'm not sure if you knew, but Calon here is a polytheist, a pagan. So I like to interview these folks as well because I was once one myself. So there's always good conversations to be had. So
exactly, about chaos magic.
Yeah.
And how much of an appropriative system it is. No.
Ocean says the chat is sufficiently confused.
All right, I think we've done our job. These crazy pagans in their language. What is it with us?
I'm following along, but these poor folks in the chat there may not.
They just need to dabble in paganism. That's all.
Some do, yeah. Well, and some learn about that sort of stuff because,
and that's one of the reasons I'm here too, is also to help people learn.
Exactly.
Because we're not just some strange alien like mystics.
But we could be.
I mean, we could be. Yeah.
Sounds kind of cool, actually.
Actually, that's what I am. Admittedly, I actually don't.
An alien mystic.
Yeah, I don't come from Earth.
Oh.
I come from Mars.
Excellent.
Ocean can confirm that.
Did he visit you there one time or something?
Let's just say, those alien abductions that you hear about.
Well, I hear about them. I don't know them.
Not yet. That's part of the process. You don't know until you need to know, and by that time you're in the spaceship.
Calon is now fucking with people. God damn it, Calon. That's Ocean. We're having some fun, Ocean. Come on.
Oh, Ocean. But yeah, magic is actually a really interesting topic in and of itself. It's just how different it is from what the popular perception of it is. You can have atheistic magic and still be perfectly consistent. Yeah,
but I think you're going to be hard pressed to find most atheists that actually believe in that kind of thing.
I mean, not as hard pressed as one would think, because a lot of Wiccans are also atheists.
This is true. Yeah. I mean, I would have considered myself a Wiccan atheist, but I did have I was very big into the Green Man because it was all about the herbology and it was all about the
herbal stuff.
Yes, the nature magic, that kind of stuff. Back when I was into that.
Oh yeah, that's just fantastic.
I didn't really follow any deities per se, but because the Green Man isn't really a deity; he's more of a a force or something.
Yeah, and that's usually how a lot of
the masculine side of force.
That's usually how a lot of atheistic Wiccans will interpret that interpret deity. They don't interpret it as a conscious entity, but rather as a force.
Mm-hmm.
And some of these forces, like love, getting put into Aphrodite, or
exactly.
War being a force of Aries and whatnot. Various things of that nature.
Indeed. No sacred cows. Oh, he cracks me up. New wave wooism. Yeah, I've been there, done that, and smoked the t-shirt.
That's great.
Yeah.
But, right now I guess you can also go into talk about some of the concerns within the pagan community.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's a lot of woo associated with crystals that's not exactly positive.
Yeah.
I mean, crystal magic is a thing.
Yes, I know. Yeah.
And people will build up a lot of personal gnosis about that, and they'll use that personal gnosis to supersede things like science and whatnot, which is what, I would say, categorically, by definition, is superstition.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would agree.
And, amethyst doesn't cure cancer, guys. Sorry.
No, even if it's in a pyramid shape, which I have, by the way.
Oh, that must be so pretty.
It is. I don't know where the fuck I put it, but it's around here somewhere. Actually, it might just be right up there somewhere, because I gave away all of my rocks and crystals to a collector that really liked them, and I'm I'm tired of moving them from place to place, so I kind of gave them away. But let me have a quick peek here. It might just be right up here.
Mm-hmm.
No, there's some pyrite. There's broken pieces of a laptop.
Pyrite will cure your toothache.
What? No, it won't.
That was something I read once. Pyrite will cure your toothache.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I forget where, but it was hilarious. It was really?
Yeah, no, it's not out here. I must have it packed away somewhere. Oh, well. But I like it because it looks cool. It's very cool. I have a few stones that I kept just because they're beauty value, so.
Yeah, they're beautiful, and also there's also an energy feel to them, which
I'm not sure how.
I mean, it's hard to kind of explain,
because you have to sort of have either be in that belief system or have been in that belief system, which I once was.
Yeah.
Yeah. In order to like understand that.
Well, I understand the thinking,
But,
except
yeah,
when I
that's what
got
I'm
into
saying, the
chemistry, I realized it was wrong. So
exactly, and that's kind of my point.
Crystals can hold, like quartz is good for holding types of like light photons and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
You can actually use quartz to hold information.
Right. So we just call information spirit, and now we have.
Right, if you want, I suppose. Now you're starting to sound like that spirit science guy. It was a complete nut bar.
Yeah, he drives me up the wall. Like, the moon is a hologram.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Like, you realize there are cultures that worship the moon? I mean, come on.
Oh, there are.
Yeah, the Sumerian did. They
worshipping a hologram.
The moon is called Nana.
Yeah.
Or
There are
Suane.
many names for the moon.
Or actually, it's also called Nana in Old Norse, which is kind of weird. Especially from a Sumerian perspective, it's like because they switched genders. It's the same name, but they switched the genders. It's like, really?
That kind of stuff has happened throughout history, though.
Oh, it has. Yeah. Which, from an animistic point of view, it makes sense to say that things are alive because a living energy is sort of exuded from everything. Trying to find the proper term for it.
Living energy?
Mm-hmm.
Not sure what you mean by
like
that.
Everything is sort of based on spirit.
The only energy that human bodies release is heat.
Oh yeah, no, this is spiritual stuff, not.
Okay.
This is a separate domain.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so, when you start viewing things as sort of having this sort of spirit that's alive, it makes a lot more sense when it comes to how sort of it basically takes away a lot of Christianity, latent Christianity, I would say. That's social. At least it did for me. A lot of Christianity that was socialized into me.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not explaining this well at all.
Maybe we can try a little bit better in an after party.
Yeah, I think that would work.
Because we are closing in on the hour, and I do want to make my friend No Sacred Cows, he's just full of it today. He says quartz is actually used in electronics, and I was going to mention that, but I didn't. It's because of its vibrational properties and how it can transfer energies and light, especially light. It's very good at that. And it's used as a steady time meter in electronics. So there you go.
Yeah.
And he says living energy is heat and electricity because we have bioelectric signals in our brains that don't actually penetrate the skull.
Yeah, now I remember what I was going to say. Basically, that from a view, you have heat as a sort of living force that comes together with various combinations with cold, and heat sort of provides the energy that is necessary for all life, and it is all sort of omnipenetrating, if that makes sense. It's a very sort of spiritual look at these two forces from like the Big Bang and whatnot.
The Big Bang? Well, that was
that was the beginning for us as far as we're concerned.
Well, at least this go around anyways. Who knows? There's theories or hypotheses, I should say, that we could have a Big Bang and then a big shrink and then a Big Bang and then a big shrink and then,
I think the current theory is that it's just supposed to expand out forever.
Yeah, that's one of the ones I think they're definitely leaning towards because there doesn't really seem to be slowing down. In some areas, it seems to be speeding up.
Dark matter. Yeah, basically dark matter will overtake everything and everything will be stripped. It's kind of a very bleak outlook, isn't it?
Well, the universe is, they know for sure at some point the universe will end in heat death. So.
Pretty much, yeah. In trillions of years.
Yeah. It's not going to be in our fucking lifetime, that's for sure.
No, I intend to live forever. I don't know about you.
I don't know if I want to, because I think after a while you just get bored. It's like, all right, I'm done. Take me away.
I guess I could see that maybe, but there's always space, and space has vast distances.
Yeah, he makes another good point. Heat is an energy that all things produce, be they living or not.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's true. But I think that's one of the properties of the universe. So,
yeah, and it is.
The Big Rip. Oh, well, that's right. The Big Rip. That's another hypothesis too. Where it'll just tear itself apart.
But judging from like the equations I've seen, that one isn't likely. It's fun when you look at the actual math.
No, Sacred Cows is like, I plan to live 1 minute longer than the universe.
minute.
Just long enough to say, ha, I win.
That's the whole goal. That's the purpose of life.
Really? I thought it was 42. Oh, no, that's the meaning of life.
No, that's the meaning of life.
Yeah,
the meaning of life is 42. Right. The purpose of life is to live 1 minute, or even just 1 atomic second, 1 femtosecond longer than the universe.
That's not enough time to say, I win, though.
I mean, when we're dealing with femtoseconds, things get a little dicey.
True. This is true. As long as I'm kind of with him on that. If I could do that, just to do that, I would probably want to.
Live just 1 femtosecond longer
Suck
than the
universe. What? Oh, jeez. I don't even want to read that one. Anyway. Well, Calon, what do you say we pick this up in an after party?
Sounds good to me.
And I'll see if Ocean would like to join it. Oh, he's still in the chat. Okay.
Wait, Ocean's in chat?
Yeah, he's in chat.
Oh, I didn't notice you there. Oh, hi, Ocean.
Nerdy Rodent's like, butt naked here. That's a lot of heat energy coming off you, Nerdy.
Exactly.
Ocean, I don't know if you want to join us. I tagged you in the original post when I put it up on Twitter, saying that we were going to do one. If you want to, just give me a quick DM, and I'll send you a link. Or you're in my my group, so you'll probably see it there. And Ocean says hi, Calon, by the way.
Hi, Ocean.
All right. Well, Calon, man, thank you so much for joining me today. This was a lot of fun talking with you. It takes me back a few years.
As well.
And because we'd had, some interaction on Twitter and whatnot, and in comment sections on other videos and stuff, but we've never talked face to face. So this was kind of a first, and it was really enjoyable.
Indeed, definitely.
And I'm glad you decided to do this. And thanks also everyone for hanging out with us and listening to us banter on about all kinds of crazy, weird stuff that I was into.
That confuses the chat.
Yeah, some of them are like, so
a bunch of Norse sounding words coming along with a bunch of like mystic, a bunch of occult like language. It's just perfect. You can't beat that.
I just imagine people on their phones Googling shit. What does this mean? Which is good because it means you're learning.
Yeah, there's a lot more to human experience than a lot of people know.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
And even if you don't believe in like gods or whatnot, a lot of this stuff is worth looking into.
Sure.
From a cultural, historical perspective.
Yes, absolutely, for sure. That for sure. I mean, if you're not into that sort of thing, then definitely just to check it out for, old world belief systems or all kinds of stuff. Like there's just, it's all knowledge.
Yeah, because a lot of it, at first it might seem confusing, but upon closer inspection, you can say, yeah, I can see how they could think that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, ever since we were, prehistoric, we always came up with reasons for the way things were.
Yeah, sympathetic magic is probably the oldest form for magic.
Sure, which a lot of that was to do with healing as well. So,
yeah, this does this, so therefore this corresponds to that, and therefore there must be some. It's like the purest form of empiricism in a way.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah.
Like, there's no concern for causality. There's just simply, okay, these things seem to correspond, therefore these work.
Mm-hmm. Until they don't. And then we just change.
And then probably the spell didn't work this time. Or
That's right.
you're looking for other correspondences, which I don't think a lot of people realize also how much work goes into magic. Like, there is a ton.
Yeah. Oh, you don't have to tell me. I tried a few things. Raising a cone of power. That kind of stuff. Yeah. All kinds of stuff.
And the effects that it has are just immense. You don't forget them.
I like to. I had a girlfriend that was right into that stuff at one time too, and we did a lot of raising sexual power. So there you go.
Sex magic, the best, one of the best kind of magic.
Yeah. Oh, I'm not going to argue with you there. At least I enjoyed trying it out. Anyways, that's for sure.
Yeah, all atheists should. Almost all atheists should be willing to do sex magic. If you're asexual, don't do it.
If you're asexual. I don't think they count anyways when it comes to that, though. Because I don't think you can do it. You have to have a partner.
A lot of asexuals do have partners, actually.
Oh, okay.
Because sexual attraction is different than romantic attraction. So you can have someone who is aromantic. That's what they call aro, and is sexually attracted, but has sexual attraction. You can also have someone who has no sexual attraction, but is attracted to romantically to someone else. So yeah. Okay. Then of course you can get those people who are what was it? I remember there's one like combination where it was just like, oh God, you're screwed. You are.
Isn't that the goal?
Yeah, pretty much. But yeah, I can't remember it right now. But yeah, that's like a very brief summary of how asexuality works. All right.
I'd heard the term, but I guess I'd never heard it being described as such, because I think of asexual as being like self-reproducing kind of thing.
Yeah, I can see that. I can kind of see that.
Like those flatworms that
I would call that autosexuality personally.
Fair enough. All right,
because autos self, yeah.
But like autoerotica too, right?
Like automobile.
Okay, now we're just going off on tangents here.
It's always nice when you can go off on tangents.
Yeah, well, that's part of the fun of these things. But I think we should close this one off because we are now past the hour. So we made it through an hour, man. Like, just like that.
Exactly. It's awesome.
Yeah. All right. Well, we're going to get into an after party. If you're interested in joining us, let me know in DM. But remember, here on StreamYard, I can have 6 people in the stream, which is myself, my guest, and then 4 people. So we have to keep that in mind. If there's not enough room for everyone, people can jump in and out too. And you'll be sitting in the backstage area, and then I could just pop people in and out. All right. And anyway, again, Calon, thank you so much
for having
me for the hour. I very much enjoyed
it. It's a pleasure.
Yeah. And we'll do it again.
Yeah,
my pleasure.
Definitely.
I've been wanting to have you on for quite some time, actually, ever since I sort of got to know you a little bit online. And
see all the fights I get into.
Yeah, they're amusing, I must admit.
They vary between amusing and frustrating.
Oh, for sure. I'm there with you on that for sure. Anyways, guys, thanks for hanging out with us. I hope you guys enjoyed our conversation. Probably got a little confusing at time, but we tried to bring it around with stuff like, Lord of the Rings and everything, the sort of things that people can cling on to and go, oh, okay. But anyways, guys, as I always say at the end of these things, like the late, great Christopher Hitchens once said, it's called faith because it's not knowledge. And we'll see you guys next time.